Frank Zane is arguably one of the best bodybuilders of all time. I mean, just look at this guy in his prime. Shredded and aesthetic. He's everything you'd want to be if you're interested in bodybuilding. Not only did he win the Mr. Olympia several times, but he also won big competitions like Mr. Universe and Mr. America when that was still going on. So throughout this video, we're going to be taking a look at Frank Zane's tremendous career. We're going to be giving you an example of his type of workout routine and how he achieved such a top-tier physique. So a little bit of background about Frank Zane. He was raised in a small coal mining town in Pennsylvania, and he first got involved in fitness at a young age. After finding a bodybuilding magazine in the trash, he decided to pursue the sport at the age of 14. This decision ended up working out great for Frank because before long he would win Mr. America, Mr. Universe, Mr. World, and 3 Mr. Olympia titles. Frank is often regarded as one of the best golden era bodybuilders. His focus on proportion and symmetry set him above the rest. Throughout the rest of this video, I'll be explaining the workout routine that he did to achieve such greatness. So Frank essentially trained with a push-pull legs program. He mentions this on his official website, and he even provides the exercises and number of repetitions to perform. So Frank also mentions that he often did one powerlifting type movement at the beginning of each training day. This would be the equivalent of warming up with a compound movement like bench, deadlift, or squat, and he would probably perform these at a low rep range, keeping the intensity high. Wide grip deadlifts, for example, were one of his favorites and are a great example of a powerlifting type movement. It should be no shock to you that all of Frank's workouts started with some sort of compound movement. Compound movements like squat, bench, and deadlift are often highly regarded because they work several muscle groups at the same time. For this reason, compound movements are most commonly used to test overall strength, and they are crucial for muscular development. So now I'm going to cover each and every one of the exercises that Frank Zane did. You can get all of that on his website, which I'll link to in the description below, but I will stress, however, that Frank followed all of the compound movements with accessory lifts in a hypertrophy rep range, so think 8 to 12 repetitions. So when you're in this hypertrophy rep range, it implies that you're completing an exercise with a challenging weight for a given amount of repetitions. Frank loved working in this range, but more importantly, he liked to incorporate drop sets in his training. He was known for drop sets. So what are drop sets? Well, drop sets are where after each set, you lower the repetitions and you increase the amount of weight you're doing. You can perform drop sets however you would like to do them, but I recommend staying within the hypertrophy rep range and completing 3 sets of 12, 10, and then 8 repetitions. You want to go up in weight after each set because this ensures that you're getting some sort of progressive overload. So on his website, Frank also mentions he's a fan of 12, 10, 8 drop sets, but mentions some weird drop set variations like the 15, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 drop set. So that is 6 different sets, and you're just decreasing the number of reps while increasing the intensity or the amount of weight that you're pushing. So interestingly enough, it seems like Zane's growth program hit every major muscle group except for hamstrings and glutes. I would not recommend this in today's world because you're creating imbalances in your posterior chain. So despite the lack of hamstring and glute training, Frank undoubtedly had one of the most aesthetic physiques ever. I'm now going to describe how you can achieve such physique, mostly by emphasizing the V-taper and lower chest / serratus training. So first I want you to take a look at Zane's upper body. There's something in particular that stands out about him. It's not his shoulders that are massive or that he has mountainous traps, but rather it's the way that his chest looks. One thing that I've noticed about bodybuilders in recent years is that their chests are so top-heavy that they almost appear to be saggy. A top-heavy chest creates an unaesthetic look. Frank Zane, on the other hand, had one of the best chests in the game. Frank emphasized lower chest exercises, particularly ones that targeted the serratus. The serratus is the muscle that gives you that ripped look. It's located right under your pectorals, and if you're sitting at a low body fat percentage, the serratus will be very apparent and will likely draw you some attention. You can target the serratus by focusing on exercises where you're pushing away from your body. So think push-ups and the decline bench machines that Hammer Strength makes. Those are also very good for hitting your lower pecs and your serratus. Dips, of course, are good, although you're not necessarily pushing away from your body. It's just the movement itself that will be targeting that lower pectoral area. In addition to what I've already mentioned, we have some classics like the barbell bench press, which of course will give you the most chest development no matter what. You have any sort of machine chest press, resistance band chest press, or even a planted medicine ball press. This one is designed to specifically target the serratus. So although Frank had a phenomenal chest, what really set him apart was his small waist and V-taper. Waist size and bone structure of your hips has a large genetic influence, but there are things you can do to achieve a smaller waist in bodybuilding. The main thing I'm going to mention is being lean. To really know how small your waist truly is, you need to be lean. If you're over 15% body fat, you may want to cut and see how small your waist really is. However, if you've been bodybuilding for a while now and know that you don't have the smallest waist, then this is perfect for you. You might notice that a lot of Frank Zane's workout routines that you see on the internet are contingent upon lower ab training. And it's true, a lot of people have underdeveloped lower abs, but this is not the only contributing factor to a V-taper. So creating that tapered look where everything looks sucked in is achieved by training the transverse abdominis. While not talked about often, the transverse abdominis is the muscle that lies underneath your rectus abdominis, or your abdominal wall. And this muscle is responsible for keeping your abdomen locked in and tight, and it activates nearly every time you move. So in my opinion, the best way to train the transverse abdominis is by doing stomach vacuums on a daily basis. Stomach vacuums will literally make the waist appear smaller with consistency. This is a statement that many professional bodybuilders can even attest to. So there are plenty of great videos demonstrating how to do a correct stomach vacuum. I'll link one in the description below, but it's fairly self-explanatory. With a simple Google search, you could easily learn how to do this, and then do it 3 times a day for 10-second holds, and you'll be good to go. But if you truly want to be elite, and you want to have that shredded abdominal look, then you have to hit the abs completely. Every single part of the abs, including the obliques, your transverse abdominis, and your rectus abdominis. So, the following is a V-taper workout inspired by Frank Zane. So first we have hanging leg raises, 3 sets of 12. If your grip is strong enough, hanging leg raises are one of the best lower ab exercises. Try to swing as little as possible and make sure that you're getting your pelvis pointing to the wall behind you. Then we have stomach vacuums, like I've already mentioned. 3 sets of 10 to 15 second holds. Just remember to exhale as much as possible before sucking everything in. Then we have med ball Russian twist for your obliques. 3 sets for 45 seconds, high intensity. Use a light med ball and perform Russian twist to hit your external obliques. Lastly, we have decline sit-ups. 3 sets until failure. I'm sure you've seen a decline sit-up machine before. I personally think they're a great way to get a full extension for your rectus abdominis. Keeping your core tight as you extend all the way back on the bench is crucial. And then upon crunching, you should feel both your upper and lower abs being squeezed. So perform this workout after every training session, and you will definitely see some great ab development within a few months. I've mentioned a lot already about achieving that aesthetic physique, but perhaps the most important thing is getting a bigger back and wider shoulders to create that illusion of a V-taper. So yes, training your abs is crucial, but equally important is training your back and shoulders, because you want to get that thick, wide look. Frank Zane trained his upper body with great intensity, so it's not a surprise that his taper looked the way it did. If you are still relatively new to lifting, give yourself some time for your muscles to truly develop. After a couple years of training, assuming you don't put on a lot of fat, your waist should look smaller due to your developed back and shoulders. If you've done just about everything you can do and you're still questioning how to get a smaller waist, well, unfortunately, waist size has a lot to do with your genetics and your hip bone structure even more so. Performing stomach vacuums daily is proven to shrink your waist as much as an inch, so this is one thing I would definitely stick to. If you're still curious about the details as to how Frank Zane trained, I encourage you to check out my website. I posted an article very extensive about Frank Zane's training routine and his workout split during his prime. So he did an interview with Leela Breda, which I mentioned in that article, and in that interview he claims that he trained 6 days a week with a focus on bodily proportion. So he alternated training days between legs and upper body when he was just 18 years old, and eventually he started incorporating drop sets and went super heavy on compound exercises while describing barbell squats as being the most effective exercise for putting on mass. So basically, if you want to train like Frank, incorporate heavy compounds and drop sets and train hard 5 to 6 days a week in the gym. Soon enough, if you have the genetics, you'll get to that point. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to check out the links in the description below for more information, and leave a rating, leave a comment if you want. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.